My name is Melinda Schneer, and I serve on the Wildlife Committee. And I am pleased to introduce Robert Haynes today from EarthQuest. This is the third year in a row that they've done a presentation on birds of prey. So I'm going to turn it over to him. And again, thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to see everyone's familiar faces. It's been really great to come back here every year and show you guys my birds. So my name is Robert Haynes, and I'm the Director of Operations of a nonprofit organization called EarthQuest. Here at EarthQuest, we take in birds of prey that cannot be released back out to the wild, and we give them a home doing educational programs teaching people about wildlife. Because not a lot of people like birds of prey, especially in areas like Royal Virginia. A lot of farmers and stuff are not too fond of these guys hanging around their property. And so the more we can get these birds out and about and teaching you guys a little bit about them, hopefully you'll have a better appreciation for them as well as a better appreciation for the natural world in which they live. And so we really love coming out here and having fun with the Wildlife Committee, teaching you guys about the birds. And I can definitely see that you guys are enjoying it since you keep coming back listening to me yap every year. All right, you guys want to see some birds? Yeah. All righty. So this first bird is a little different from the birds that live around here, but she's not too far away where she lives. Come on out here, baby girl. This is Palacios. She's going to do a little bungee jumping this morning. Palacios is what's called a Harris's hawk. The Harris's hawk is very similar to the red-tailed hawk that lives here in Virginia, but the Harris's hawk is found around the southwestern deserts of the United States, along the Mexican border of Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. They're about the same size as red-tails, and they have several adaptations that allow them to hunt and survive in the wild. First off, if you guys take a look at the eyes on this hawk, the eyes on a bird of prey are about 4 to 6 times more powerful than our own eyesight, meaning that when this hawk is circling high above, she can see her prey from about a mile away. Yes, I said prey. Birds of prey are meat eaters. They're predators. They don't eat their vegetables. And so they have to be able to find their food. Now, even though they're predators, these guys are a little bit different from most predators because birds of prey are also able to see in color. This hawk right here can actually see a wider range of colors than we can. She can actually see the ultraviolet spectrum as well, which helps her hunt in extremely low light conditions. Are you having fun? Now, Palacios is actually a flight-trained bird, so in most of our demonstrations, when it's not so crazy hot out, we actually have her flying around. So she's just kind of looking at me thinking, why am I still tethered like I'm supposed to be up in the tree? And she loves flying around in demonstrations. One of the really popular programs that we do, especially during the pandemic, is called A Walk with a Hawk. And I think that that's something we should try and put together here at Lake Monticello. I bet you guys would have fun with that. A Walk with a Hawk is where we take Palacios out, we let her go and she flies up in the trees, and then we go along on a hike and the bird follows us from tree to tree to tree. It is really neat. We should definitely try and put something together. I think you guys would have a blast with that. And that is one of Palacios' favorite things to do. And so she's really mad at me that I'm not letting her go yet. Right, baby? Her also favorite thing to do is when we're finishing up with the Walk with a Hawk, she loves to play catch, much like you guys probably like to play catch at home. Except the way she plays catch is she sits up in a tree, I call her to me, and when she's just a few feet in front of me, she'll go up about 30 or 40 feet in the air, and I'll throw a piece of meat as high as I can, and she'll go up and do a backflip and catch it. She's a pretty cool bird. Now, we were talking about their eyes. Like we said, birds of prey have amazing eyesight. And just to give you guys a little close glimpse at how good their eyesight are, if you guys had the eyes of a hawk and were standing on top of a 20-story building, you would be able to look down at the sidewalk and see the individual legs on an ant. Now, once she's spotted her prey, this bird is going to use the weapons of birds of prey, which are these incredibly powerful feet. The feet on a hawk are able to squeeze about 200 to 300 pounds per square inch. And on the end of her toes, she has these claws that are called talons. These talons are not razor sharp like a knife. They're needle sharp like a sewing needle designed to grasp and to hold the prey. Now, once she's caught that prey, she's going to use this specially hooked and curved beak as her knife and fork. That beak is designed for ripping and tearing and helps her get through the hide of the animal that she just caught. Harris hawks are mostly going to be hunting mammals, things like squirrels and rabbits as well as even reptiles as well, like snakes and lizards. Right? And the occasional mouse that runs through her enclosure at home. Now, Palacios, she came to us from a falconer, and she was used for falconry for many years. She's going on about 9 years old, and she was a hunting bird long before she came to us. And so that's one of the things that makes our Walk with a Hawk fun, is that no one gave her the memo that she is not supposed to be a hunting bird anymore. And so we occasionally have a, no, don't eat that squirrel, come down here. As much as she would like to. So falconry, if you've never heard of it before, is one of the oldest sports that humans have ever partaked in. And it is where you would take a trained bird of prey like this out and use it to hunt live game. Much like you would hunt with a firearm or anything else, people for thousands of years have used birds to hunt their food, to feed their families. And so this particular falconer no longer had time to hunt with this bird, and so he gave her to us several years ago, and we've been enjoying hanging out with her for the last couple of years. You guys have actually probably heard of this falconer. You didn't realize he's a falconer, but he's been kind of making a lot of national news lately. His name is Robert Kennedy, and he's running for president here in the U.S. This was Robert Kennedy's hawk. Except I guess his naming sucks, because from what I was told when we first got her name was Helga, and that just seemed really mean. Right? You're not a Helga. Get in there. Hey, you missed. You're supposed to go in there. Palacios, you're supposed to go in there. You missed. Oh, you silly goose. I mean hawk. Okay, one more time bungee jumping. You ready? 1, 2, 3, go home. In slow motion. There we go. All righty. That was fun, wasn't it? All right. That was a Harris hawk. Now, Harris hawks are what we call diurnal birds of prey, meaning that they're primarily awake and hunting during the daytime. So if diurnal means daytime, what would be the opposite of diurnal? Nocturnal, exactly. What kind of birds of prey are nocturnal? Who? 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 Oh, what does the owl say? Whoo! Here you go, Kim. You want to wear that? I think you guys will like this owl. Now, this is Boobo. Some of you guys may have met Boobo before. And Boobo is really tired. He's been really worn out with this heat. And plus, he was up super late last night. And so we got to give him a chance to wake up here. So we're going to let his friend Kim hold him here. Come over here, Boobo. Step up. See, Boobo was out on the town last night. We actually had to go out and look for him. Guess where we found him? No, he was at a hootenanny. I thought you guys might enjoy some foul humor. Oh, don't egg me on. See, a lot of people ask me, how much I love my job. And I think the favorite part of my job is that I get to reuse the same stupid dad jokes every single day. And no one realizes that they're reused. So I'm all about recycling here. Now, this is Boobo, and he's what's called an eagle owl. The eagle owl is one of the largest owl species, and they are found over in Europe and Asia. They are very similar to our great horned owl that would live in this area. Now, eagle owls have several adaptations that allow them to hunt at night. If you guys take a look at the eyes on this owl, the eyes on an owl are about twice as big as human eyes and allow him to take in over 100 times more light than you and I, meaning that even the darkest of nights are more than enough light for this owl to see. And even when the owl can't see his prey, he can still find his prey, and that's because owls have one more highly developed sense, which is their sense of hearing. Most people don't know where the ears are on an owl, though. Most people assume that those little tufts of feathers that he has on the top of his head are his ears. He kind of has them down at the moment, but normally he would have these little horns sticking up there, which is where him and his cousin, the great horned owl, get those horns from. They're just little tufts of feathers that help them camouflage in the trees. His ears are actually located around the sides of his face in what makes up that rounded part of his face that we call the facial disc. You can't see the ear canal itself because it's covered in very specialized sound-sensitive feathers that help push all the noise back into his ears. But his face is shaped like a giant satellite dish. Now, if you were to pull back those feathers and look at his ears, the first thing you would notice is that his ears are huge. The ears on an owl are so big that you could actually fit a quarter inside of his ear. The ears on an owl are also asymmetrical, meaning that they're not the same on either sides of his head like ours. Ours are symmetrical. They are mirror images. But on an owl, one of his ears points up and one ear points down. And that helps him triangulate his prey from a distance so that he can better pinpoint where those rodents are hiding. It's a really fun thing to do when you guys get home. Go on to Google with your parents' permission and look up what a skull of an owl looks like, and you'll actually be able to see the ear canals on the sides of their head, how they're different. And so that's going to help him find his food, because this type of owl is what we call a percher. So when he's hunting, he's going to be sitting in a tree, and see if you guys can keep up with me on this one. He's going to be doing absolutely nothing. He's going to sit there all day long waiting for something to move, and he's going to be listening over a big field and waiting for the rodents to make a noise. Because of these rodents that he's hunting, they're not dumb. They're not going to be coming out on a manicured lawn like this where it's real short. They're going to be going out in the real tall grasses of the meadows and the grasslands, and even inside the corn and farmlands area too. And so they're going to be scurrying under there, and even in the colder parts where he lives, they'll go underneath of the snow, several feet under the snow. And Boobo has to be able to find them. So he'll listen and wait for them to make a noise. He'll fly out and he'll dive his feet through the snow or through the grass and catch them and bring them up with almost 100% accuracy. And he can do that because these ears are so amazing. And it's really common. A lot of people will show us pictures and say, look, we had an owl flying through our yard, and it's making a nest in the area. And I always get a little bit of a chuckle because they'll show me a picture of a great horned owl holding a bunch of leaves and sticks. But if you didn't know, owls don't build nests. They're too lazy to build nests. They just steal a nest from someone else. And so when they have a big pile of sticks like that in their feet, they're not making a nest. They just caught dinner. It's just somewhere tucked in those leaves. It's got a little salad mixed in there, you know. Now, owls have another really amazing ability in that their feathers are a little bit different from other birds. Their feathers have very specialized comb-like structures on the front of the feather, and the back sides of the feather are extremely soft. Owl feathers are some of the softest things you'll ever feel. So when he flaps his wings, he doesn't make any noise whatsoever. Hey Kim, hold him on a little tighter because he's looking like I'm going to go over there and go hunting. But when he flaps his wings, he doesn't make any noise at all, and that gives him the ability to fly silently. Because one of the favorite foods of an owl like this is going to be jackrabbits and cottontails, and they have really big ears to hear predators coming after them. And so he had to adapt and develop these silent feathers. So what we're going to do is here, I'm going to turn Kim's hand. You ready, Kim? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and just turn your hand. We're going to put him off balance so you can hear his wings. Did you hear that? No. Exactly. No, you didn't. I did. I did a little. Now, what's funny is I kind of fibbed a little bit earlier. I said that this is one of the largest owl species in the world. And this species is one of the largest in the world. But Boobo is very small for his species. He's going to be about as small as they get for eagle owls. The males usually typically range between 4 and 6 pounds. And he weighs just a touch over 4 pounds. And the females usually range from 6 and all the way up to 12 pounds. Think of that. A 12-pound eagle owl would be the size of about a male bald eagle. That is a pretty large owl. And so these guys will frequently in the wild take down something as big as a fox or even a small deer. They are amazingly powerful. Thankfully, none of you guys have to worry about your corgi going out at night just because the eagle owls do live over in Europe and Asia. So you guys are safe. The largest owl in this area is going to be the great horned owl, and the females will usually get about as big as 3.5 pounds. So we should be pretty safe there. Your Yorkies, though, maybe keep them in at night. Now, Boobo came to us from a captive breeding program up in New York that raises these guys for educational purposes, and he was given to our organization when he was just a few weeks old. He was about 3 weeks old. He was a little fluff ball, and we have had him now for 16 years. We've been doing demonstrations with him, and he has been having a blast. We actually paired him up a couple years ago with a female eagle owl that we have, and her name was Artemis. And he was with Artemis for a couple years because we thought that maybe one day they would be able to breed and we would be able to contribute to the conservation of these owls. And so we had them together for a while, and they were okay with each other, but they would always stay on opposite ends of the enclosure from each other. They would never sit together at all. And when I joined the organization back in 2019, I started working with Boobo to utilize him in my own demonstrations that I started doing right before COVID. Well, after I started working with him, he started hooting. Up until that point, his entire life, he had never made a single noise. He was completely silent. And so he started hooting and making all these other weird noises, and we thought, oh, he hears Artemis on the other side of the property. He must be missing her. Let's put them back together. And so we opened the enclosure and we let him fly in, and guess what he did? He tried to kill her. You know why he did that? Because we didn't realize that those noises he was making and the hooting he was making, he wasn't looking at Artemis and hearing her making that noise and thinking that he wants to be with her. He was looking at me. He thinks that I'm his boyfriend, or his girlfriend, actually, more specifically. He's about to jump, just so you know. Hold on real tight, Kim. We're going to watch Kim get dragged through the woods. And so he thinks that I'm his mate. And so that is why Boobo can no longer be with Artemis, is because he thinks that that is a predator that is going to hurt his mate. And birds of prey are monogamous. They breed for life. And so in other words, I am really much stuck with this job and have no choice of the matter but to stick around with Boobo. My egg laying skills are very subpar, unfortunately. I have not laid an egg. It is not from a lack of trying. Now, eagle owls, their feet are a little bit different from the hawks. These guys have amazingly powerful feet, and their feet are a little bit differently oriented. If you guys look at Boobo, you'll notice that he only has 2 toes on the front of his feet. That's because owls actually have a similar foot structure to something like a woodpecker. They have what we call a zygodactyl foot, meaning they have 2 toes in the front and 2 toes in the back. That's because a lot of owls are cavity nesters, and this can help them climb up into the side of a cavity in a tree to lay their eggs. But what's really cool about owls is this outer toe on the back is actually able to rotate. So he is only going to have that 2 and 2 foot position when he's perching. When he's hunting, that outer toe will actually rotate out, and he will have a more hawk-like structure. He'll have 3 in the front and 1 in the back to make it easier for him to catch prey. Right, Boobo? You ready to go home? All right, let's see if we can get you to hoot. A lot of times we can get him to hoot. Let's do this. I got an idea. We're going to let him jump up on top of the kennel like Placius did. He is the weirdest owl, and he will only hoot if he is not on your glove. Let's see if we can get him to hoot, Kim. Let him hop up there. Come up here. Hold on to that.
Let go of this part?
Yep. Come here, Boobo. Beep. Whoo. You want to say hi? Whoo. Come on. Whoo. Well, folks, I don't think he gives a hoot. It's usually 50% of the time he'll do it. All right. Time to send you home, buddy. You're probably so annoyed that we woke you up. Come on, let's go. You want to go home? Good boy. All righty. Time to go home. Good boy. All the way. All the way. Almost there. There you go. All right, everyone, give it up for Boobo. He's pretty much a celebrity everywhere we go. I got one more bird for you guys, and if you guys will bear with me, I totally promise she's worth it. Most people don't think so, and that is why I think she's one of the most important birds that we do educational programs with, because a lot of people don't like these birds, and if you guys are not so sure and you're kind of on the fence about vultures, we're going to hopefully change your mind by the end of today. This is Igor, and Igor is what's called a black vulture. You want to go run around? Black vultures are native here to Virginia, and you guys can find these all up and down the East Coast, and they are really neat. Not a lot of people know anything about these birds, and most people just think that they're really gross and they don't want them around. But I can assure you that black vultures are your best friend. So vultures are different from birds of prey. They're scavengers. And so these guys go out and they eat dead animals that have been left to rot. And they are going to eat all that carcass and remove pathogens from the environment. They can do that because vultures have some of the strongest stomach acid in the animal kingdom, meaning that Igor here could technically eat something that was infected with anthrax, botulism, distemper, rabies, and some ornithologists have even speculated they might be able to eat smallpox and Ebola as well. They can do this because their stomach is a 0 pH. It is extremely acidic and helps them break down any of those microbes that enter their system. And so black vultures with their friends, the turkey vultures, they fly around and they eat all these dead animals and they remove that disease from the environment. Now Igor here, she was born in the wild and she was in northern Georgia, and unfortunately, she is a completely healthy vulture and should be out in the wild doing her thing. But for her sake, she's not allowed to go back out in the wild because she was stolen out of a nest by some teenagers who thought that they could turn this bird into a pet. They didn't realize that all birds that live in the United States are federally protected and you cannot handle or kill them without proper permits. And so these kids got in a lot of trouble because they took Igor when she was in her nest and was just opening her eyes and learning what she was and seeing who her parents was. So she has no idea she's a vulture. If she was to interact with another vulture, she would attack them. And we've actually seen it before. When we've been doing presentations sometimes, we've had a wild vulture come in and it came up to us and she tried to attack it because she wants nothing to do with other vultures. She also thinks that I'm her mate. So she's got a little competition going on with Boobo, as well as Palacios, because Palacios laid me an egg last year. Oh, silly goose. Now, black vultures have some really amazing adaptations. These guys have amazing eyesight, and they rely on their eyesight a lot because unlike their friends, the turkey vultures, they do not have a very good sense of smell. The black vulture really can't smell much better than you or I. So the way that these guys find their food is they're going to soar much higher in the sky, and they're going to follow their friends, the turkey vultures, to the carcass and just steal it from them. So we like to tease around here that black vultures are the scavenger of scavengers. Now, because they can't find their food their own, they have to be able to soar really high. So these guys have very big wings. So they're going to soar very, very high in the air. I've heard some people say, pilots and stuff have seen black vultures as high as 10,000 feet. They've been soaring looking for food. So a lot of times when you see a vulture much lower to the ground, if you eat that microphone, they're going to be really mad at me. You can't eat the microphone. I know it's fluffy. That's why we don't have fluffy microphones. And so Igor has to have those big wings to be able to soar really high, but her friends, the turkey vultures, actually have wings that are much bigger than hers. Even though that both of these birds are about the same size, the turkey vulture's wingspan is almost 1.5 feet wider than hers is. So you can imagine how big the wingspan is on a vulture. Now, Igor being raised in captivity by young men, she absolutely loves me, and one of her favorite things to do, as you see, she loves to get her head scratched. Her favorite thing to do is I hold my hand up here. You want your head scratched? She'll stick her beak inside of there and then just kind of twist it around so that I can rub all surfaces of her head. See? Right? Now, one of the other amazing adaptations these guys have, and let's see if she'll do it now that the sun came out a little bit. I'm going to put Igor on the ground and unplug my microphone somehow. You want to put your wings out? Now, vultures, they have an adaptation to have black colored feathers so that they can put their wings out and absorb UV rays from the sun to burn off any kind of bacteria. You want to put your wings out? Put your wings out. Come on. I know that feels good. What? I wore my good shoes. This is how you know I've been doing this a lot of years. Her favorite thing to do is to come up and untie my shoes. So I just wear shoes without laces, and then she can't untie my shoes. She's also notorious for being a thief. We were at a presentation in Orange County a couple weeks ago, and she jumped up into a lady's lap and stole her nachos. And she has also stolen one of those big clear containers of Utz cheese balls, put it on its side, and rolled it off into the sunset. Another time we were at a prep school, and we were doing a presentation, and she flew around the corner of the campus, and there was these kids, and they were eating hot dogs, and they saw this bird come up, and they're like, "You want a hot dog?" And then the bird started chasing them, and they weren't expecting that, so they took off running, trying to get away from the vulture trying to eat their hot dogs, right? Come on, Igor. You're not going to put your wings out? Alrighty. The reason we love bringing all these birds out for you guys is to hopefully teach you something about them and show you a little bit about their personality so that you guys will better appreciate them at home and help take care of them in the natural world in which they live. And I think vultures are a great reason to talk about that because, like I was saying, not a lot of people like these birds. We've had a lot of people that come up to us after demonstrations. No, don't eat the microphone, silly vulture. And We've had people tell us that they hate these birds, these vultures, so much that they will specifically drive off the road to run them over and kill them just to get rid of them. I have a lot of friends that are involved with wildlife rehab across the U.S., and it is really scary how many times hawks, eagles, and vultures will come into rehabilitation centers with gunshot wounds. I have seen just recently, not too long ago, I saw a bald eagle in rehab that had its beak blown clean off by a shotgun because someone said it was trying to go after one of their livestock. And so we want to teach you guys about them so that you guys will help keep them around, because birds of prey are amazing to have in your area. If you have a pair of red-tailed hawks living on your property, it's estimated that red-tailed hawks will eat about 1,200 to 1,500 rodents off your property in a single year. And so one of the simple things that you can do is just keep your yard wild. Plant native trees. Let the hawks do their things. It can help, reduce your use on pesticides and can help keep the birds safe from disease and getting sick themselves. Right, baby girl? I hope you guys have enjoyed the birds of prey. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come on up. One thing you guys can do right now, if you guys want to help support us, me and my friend Kim are going to be walking around. On our phone, we have a QR code because we are actually running a 50-50 raffle. And so if you guys want a chance to win a little bit of money, you can win some money and help support our mission of education. Right now, our 50-50 raffle is looking at about $620. So if you guys get your tickets and you win, you will get $310 for doing absolutely nothing but just giving $10 yourself. So it's a really good chance to win a little bit of money. And the more people that support it, the more that number goes up. And so if you guys want to enter the raffle, please let me know, and we'll make sure that you get you guys tickets and you can help support our mission of education, help keep us taking care of these animals. Thank you guys so much. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come on up. Make sure you guys talk to your friends here at the Wildlife Committee and thank them for bringing us out, and see how you guys can make your yard a better place for wildlife.